Hey everybody, I'm not dead, haven't left YouTube, won't leave YouTube anytime soon. I'm just the most inconsistent person when it comes to uploading. That's pretty much it when it comes to me. I am going to cover my 6 most loved Doctor Who stories that shaped my love for Doctor Who. So this isn't like a top 6 favourite Doctor Who stories of all time, not necessarily. What I mean by the title is these 6 stories had the most positive effect that shaped my love for Doctor Who. And not really just that, but my love for science fiction and even the horror genre. 2 of these stories, if you know me, you will see coming. Number 1 and number 5. This isn't a ranking in order, mind you. Yeah, you will see coming. It's a no freaking brainer. The rest of them, however, definitely including number 6, you won't see coming. But once I get to it, you're gonna go, hell yeah. You're going to like the reason why I picked number 6. So, let's get straight into it and cover my 6 most loved Doctor Who stories that shaped me as a Doctor Who fan. Let's begin. The Doctor Who story that started it out for me. It not only shaped my journey into Doctor Who and sci-fi television, but the horror genre too. It's the story perhaps most synonymous with me in terms of nostalgia and meaning. It is the horror of fan rock. My earliest memories of Doctor Who was in fact the Tom Baker era, with the VHSs just lying on the floor, with me admiring them. Horror fan rock, Revenge of the Cybermen, The Ark in Space and Pyramids of Mars from memory being the first stories I ever watched. I also had early memories of Genesis of the Daleks and the Robots of Death too, but never owned the VHSs of them. Horror fan rock was in fact my earliest memory, and the story that had the biggest effect on me, that made me not only a Doctor Who fan, but infatuated with horror. Mainly because of Mr. Creepazoid over here scared the absolute shit out of me. I mean, do you want to see this Donnie in a dark alleyway? Yeah, you're done. You know what's criminal? I haven't actually done a proper review on the horror fan rock. Gotta change that. You know what else is criminal? That my lazy ass has still not finished the 4th Doctor ranking video. I'll see you in 2027 for the release. The setup of the story, the apprehension with the atmosphere, and not knowing who is next to be killed was masterful in horror fan rock. The military tactics of the Ruton and used shape-shifting and weaponizing the situation by killing one by one only makes the supporting characters break under the pressure is some of the best performances of all time. Horror fan rock is a love story, but I admit I love this story a heck of a lot more than most people. I would rate it 11 out of 10. It breaks the 10 out of 10 rating system. It doesn't even do it justice. It's the story that had the biggest positive effect on me than anything else. True, there are a very small handful of stories I prefer as a narrative that I put over horror fan rock in a ranking, one being extremely obvious, you know what it is. However, horror fan rock remains, to me, the story that is closest to my heart. If I was to destroy my entire collection, all episodes erased, I am positive this is being picked first. The horror of fan rock. Moving forward in time to the new series, but it could be my favourite new series episode of all time, because I'm yet to marathon the new series, but the original new series Dalek story for me remains the new series episode I love the most. Truth be told, I could put like most episodes from series 1 and series 2 here to cover Dalek, and to be honest, it was quite the battle for me in my head to pick either Dalek or Bad Wolf and Pattern of the Ways. I was going back and forward with them, so it was a tough pick. I was obsessed with these stories to the point where I'm surprised the DVDs still even work. The amount of times I played them. Dalek, with Robert Sherman's just incredible storytelling on screen, delivers one of the most terrifying and masterful depictions of the Daleks no longer being a joke. Its weapon seen as a joke? Nope. Defeated by stairs? Nope. The fact it looks like a dustbin? Nope, it's an embodiment of a death machine. also has my favourite quote in perhaps all of Doctor Who, of a Dalek mocking, but as well, in a very deceptive way, complimenting the Doctor that he would make a good Dalek. That the very thing the Doctor hates so much is now within himself, which makes him and the viewer speechless. Why? Because it's true. If I was to tell you my favourite villain in all of Doctor Who, which terrified viewers back in the 60s due to its connections and themes surrounding integrating human flesh with artificial machinery, it is indeed the Cybermen. My love for the 60s Cybermen cannot be expressed enough, though we can forget about this pile of pants though. But the other stories, my word, just a work of art. And it furthers my statement, the Cybermen are my favourite villain in all of Doctor Who, which pains my heart that the new series never seemed to get them right. Their delivery in the 60s was perfection, emotionless cybernetic constructs who have no compunction for human life, or anything of that matter, makes them even more colder sometimes than the Daleks. Ironically, after everything that I've said, my love for the Cybermen originated from the new series. That is the rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel. True, I prefer the 10th planet, the moon base, Tomb of the Cybermen, and the invasion over it. No question. But deep down, my love for the Cybermen, my favourite villain, originates from the new series. Why? Because this captures some of the themes why they were so great in the 60s. Emotionless, and the direction, the camera work, it all comes together perfectly to capture the essence of why they are such a great villain. Nowadays and after, they just can't get them right. The Cybermen to me enforces the belief of technology that has come too far, that the essence of humanity is now gone, in the past, and everyone is simply a soulless, emotionless, empty shell that cares for nothing and no one. Before 2013 and the creation of TJ Productions, there was a time I phased out of Doctor Who. I was no longer interested in following my love for the show, but then all that changed because my love for Doctor Who reignited again, and I started my Doctor Who collection journey. Went into HMV and Bristol Cribbs Causeway and picked 4 stories of them, being Death to the Daleks, The Five Doctors, the Mannequin Mania box set, and Inferno. Inferno was indeed the story that reignited the flame that made me go, why the hell did I stop watching this brilliant show? Inferno yet again is a masterpiece, and so is season 7. It's without question the best Pertwee story of all time. It's close with the Sea Devils for me, but Inferno takes the crown. Brilliant depictions of fascism, where the Doctor faces alternative parallel versions of individuals he's formed relationships with, and some of the darkest and bleakest depictions and moments in all of Doctor Who, witnessing the destruction of a whole world because of the motivations and greed of an egotistical madman. A memory that only haunts the Doctor, seeing a whole world burn. Currently stands right now, and always will, let's be honest, as my favourite Doctor Who story of all time. Besides Horror Fan Rock, the story most associated with me, and another story that just needs to have the proper treatment in terms of a review, is the War Games. The 10-part finale to the second Doctor era, despite its flaws, which it does have, the War Games had tremendous pressure because of the whole Season 6 controversy. Doctor Who was in a terrible state. The basic story, I've told this before multiple times, but the entirety of Season 6 was indeed changed because the scripts were subpar. And as well, the controversy following the Dominators, which is my biggest guilty pleasure of all time. A little shout out to the Dominators. And the whole structure of Season 6 was completely changed. Like Peter Lane's original script, we didn't see who was the writer of The Mind Robber. Robert Holmes' original script, replaced with the Crotons, we didn't see. And Lalera McCrimmon, the original departure of Jamie McCrimmon. And if Season 6 didn't restructure, we wouldn't have got the War Games either. I love the entire thing, the setup of the story, the villains slowly revealing the chain of command over time, even these freaking guards in like scuba diver outfits. I mean, yeah, it looks really cheap and low budget, but I can look past it and sort of take the piss out of it. Besides its flaws, which it does have, I gotta admit it does have it, but I can just look past them. It is the greatest piece of black and white television, and my favourite Doctor Who story of all time. Now, you were probably thinking, does Horror Fan Rock rival it? And there was a time where I put both of them together in the same place. I was really unsure of which one I preferred. Truth be told, now I do prefer the War Games as a story over Horror Fan Rock, but Horror Fan Rock did play the bigger role in shaping me as a Doctor Who fan. The only possibility that the War Games gets knocked off first place is that they magically out of thin air find the entirety of the power of the Daleks. That's the only possibility I ever see the War Games being dethroned as number one. But let's be real, the episodes are probably just complete mush right now, burned, or some asshole has it in his shed. We don't really know. This entry is going to have you scratching your head, and might be considered cheating, because this isn't a television story. It's from the extended media. Thrown quite the curveball at you, haven't I? It is not a Doctor Who book. Some people might be thinking it could have been a Doctor Who book, but no, it isn't. It's in fact a Big Finish story. It's been a very long time, could be like 7-8 years, something like that, since I did a Big Finish ranking video of my favourite Big Finishes of all time. As of like right now, since I've just glossed over it, I would say this is my favourite Big Finish story of all time. It's doubtful we're going to share the same opinion with the best Big Finish of all time, because there are literally thousands. But not only that, but this audio, this Big Finish story, changed my tune on a certain incarnation of the Doctor who throughout my history of the channel, I always said I found this incarnation of the Doctor boring and one-dimensional. It's true. I said it way back in 2013, and throughout the years, I keep saying it. I'm so sorry, I was a complete idiot, because now my tune is completely changed on the Fifth Doctor. I, in fact, love the Fifth Doctor. And the story to do that for me was The Elite. That is why The Elite is here. Not only does it perhaps stand as my favourite Big Finish story of all time, but how it changed my tune and my position on the Fifth Doctor. That's what it did, and I would say that's a damn big accomplishment. The history of my channel only enforces that point. I didn't like the Fifth Doctor at all. Now? Hell no! The Fifth Doctor is awesome. And perhaps this is criticism of the TV era. I didn't think it did enough to flesh out the incarnation, but stories like The Elite, Spare Parts, and the Peterloo Massacre, all brilliant stories that show a side of the Fifth Doctor being pinned in a corner and reacting differently than his soft, more compassionate side. Someone who can show a bit of that dark side, and for some reason, when the Fifth Doctor shows that more darker aspects of the character, it hits more compared to any other incarnation. But not just that, The Elite is a very unique Dalek story, and I would say it's more than just a Dalek story. What the Dalek does and how it influences an entire society into a very fascistic totalitarian system is just beyond genius writing. The original idea by Barbara Clegg was out of this world ambitious. I'm not throwing any shade at Barbara Clegg, because flipping hell, does she have some good ideas, but it just doesn't translate well during the time. They just couldn't do it. Way too ambitious, and it just couldn't fit the budget. Flipping cool idea, and again, credit to John Dorney through the adaptation and the expansion on the story, as well as the cast, because my word, is some of the best performances in the Elite. And that is it. Those, to me, are the 6 stories that I hold the most love for out of everything else. Horror Fan Rock is probably the one that holds the most importance. It introduced my love for the horror genre because of this creepy weirdo, and to start my Doctor Who journey. Dalek, because to me that always encapsulates perhaps my favourite new series story of all time. It's the one I've rewatched the most. Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel, because it is the first story that made me love the Cyberman, my favourite villain in the entire show. Inferno, because it reignited my love for Doctor Who in 2013, and to start this entire channel, which it wouldn't have happened otherwise if I didn't reignited my love. Thanks Inferno. The War Games, which currently stands, which will always stand as my favourite Doctor Who story of all time, and one of the best pieces of black and white television. And number 6, probably quite the curveball, but the Elite. Not only is it my favourite Big Finish story of all time, most likely, but it made me fall in love with the 5th incarnation of the Doctor, who I originally called boring and one-dimensional. I can only say sorry to that. Please share your most loved Doctor Who stories in the comments below, which had the biggest effect on you that made you become a Doctor Who fan. It doesn't even need to be from the TV series. Expand it. Add some extended media stuff. But yeah, of course, thanks for watching. New video next week. Have a good one.